Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Harakah Kadash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and shalom to the hopeful elect. This video was a prophecy and news. I'm going to delve into the current events. Right now, you see what's going on. Okay, you had George Floyd, a so-called black man who, from going off what I know on face value, a Judite, a so-called Negro of the tribe of Judah, the true Jews of the Bible, a true Jew of the Bible, basically suffered at the hands of a so-called white man, an Edomite, from what he looks like, and his traits and his behavior, murder in a form of police brutality. All right. So with that being said, that murder that took place last week, with the pinning down of two other cops, and one basically allowing the happenings to happen. Basically, you had an uproar that slowly but steadily increased and basically erupted worldwide. All right, because Judah's, it starts with Judah. Who shall rouse him up? Once Judah get going, all the tribes will get going. And that's what we see now. We see that this has happened the world over. All right? But let's not get confused and let's not get excited in the sense of like, yo, my man's right. This is the Most High working. But this isn't, Black Lives Matter isn't what the Most High wants us to delve into. All right? Now, reason why I say that is because the question you have to ask is cui bono, all right? Who benefits? With these things happening, who's going to benefit from these things happening, all right? And that's why I have this article, Coronavirus, are protests legal amid lockdown? Protesters chanted Black Lives Matter and say my name, George Floyd, in Trafalgar Square. That's over here in the UK. All right, so solidarity protests against the death of George Floyd in the US are continuing to take place in the UK. All right, you had one on Sunday, I believe, and you've had some consistently because everyone's on a lockdown. A lot of people not working, so they have the leisure to indulge in these protests. All right. But are they actually legal given the coronavirus lockdown? Now, mind you, remember we've been going out on the highways and byways, all right, for the second week as of last weekend down here in London, all right. Not to say that George Floyd was killed to stop us in London. I'm just saying that, this is a question that needs to be asked for the elites, right? What do lockdown laws say about protests? England now has the loosest lockdown in the UK with no restrictions on going outside, but the rules officially known as regulations don't explicitly say nothing about whether people can protest or not. However, Regulation 7 restricts public gatherings to no more than 6 people. So that deems it illegal, all right? The law defines a gathering as a meeting involving social interaction with each other or to undertake any other activity. And so that means pretty clearly that a protest is currently illegal along with any other activity that could increase the spread of the virus. All right, and that's the main thing a lot of people forgot, because over here in the UK, all right, you had a heat wave, and everyone and their mother forgot about the bloody coronavirus. They were already sick of it. The sun coming out and being all nice, that was the last straw. Basically, everyone's out here in a swimwear, basically doing the most. All right. And really, that's talking about the psyche of the people. But then now with this whole event happening, this is how now um, propelled it to a whole new realm, a different sphere of things. Basically, the law defines a gathering as a meeting involving social interaction with each other or to undertake any other activity. Sorry, so let me read on. What penalties could you face for taking part in a protest? Police have been trying to encourage people to follow the law and the public health message, and they can break up gatherings. Before the death of Mr. Floyd, this tended to mean officers directing large parties to stop and ordering people to go to their own homes. Officers can hand out fixed penalty notices, a form of on-the-spot ticket that start £100 to anyone who won't follow the health regulations. They can also arrest and charge someone with an offence potentially leading to a large fine in a magistrate's court. All right. So taking all that together, officers have the power to break up the ticket people for being part of the protests on coronavirus health grounds. Is it not a right to protest in the UK? Yes, but this is where it gets tricky, all right? Because that right is often misunderstood, and the coronavirus health emergency has complicated things further. Barrister Audrey Cheryl Morgan from London's Garden Court Chambers explains the European Convention of Human Rights in British law as Human Rights Act says the public bodies must respect both the right to assemble and also to express one's views. But those two rights are not absolute. The government or another public body can interfere with them if it has a proper legal reason to do so. All right? As you already know, coronavirus. Coronavirus. So it becomes a balancing exercise. She says if what's being done is to enforce the health regulations, then you can argue that stopping a protest would be reasonable and proportionate. All right. Now think about that. Legally, they're allowed to do that, but again, as you can see, tensions are running high. Yeah, John Boyega, he's been very outspoken in terms of like dealing with racism. Going back to dealing with Finn from Star Wars, if you don't know what I'm talking about, he's from the UK. He's very outspoken about this situation anyway, all right? But basically what happened is he okay, yeah, I was using this as an example. His emotions are running high. Even they did a protest today. This protest is being spoke of. He was there, and he was crying before he gave the speech that he was there to give. So really what I'm saying is a lot of people are highly emotional. There's other videos I see niggas swinging for the fences on police, right? Which is definitely, and I mean swinging for the fences, and that's definitely gonna cause some further issues dealing with this whole protest. And that's what it is. These are the questions that are now being asked. Coronavirus, are protests legal amid lockdown? And when you see how these protests are allowing people, what form of violence is inciting, looting around the world, it's enough for even the UK just to say, you know what, as a precaution, which actually happened in Birmingham, as the Elder Omar informed me, they cancelled it because they were scared of looting, right? It's garnering a sense of fear in the country that is allowing them to preemptively do certain things, okay? But more so with America, you had Trump talk about bringing in martial law and saying that, yo, if you do not activate that, what I'm telling you to do in your state, that basically I'm gonna send in the armed personnel, the army, basically the military, on my own merit, basically, okay? So anyway, it says, so taking all that together, officers have the power to break up and ticket people for being part of a protest on coronavirus health grounds, all right? Is there not a right to protest in the UK? Oh, sorry, I read that already. Um, okay, but this is where the context of where we are right now becomes important. We are not on the first day of the lockdown. It is very clear that you are allowed outside and to gather, although only in groups of 6. Now, even with that being said, they passed a law in the UK, which is crazy, where they're saying if you do not live together, you're not allowed to have sex together, basically. All right. If you don't share the same household, you're not allowed to. It's illegal for you to have sex with that person. All right, which is crazy because they said it already in the article. This is not the first day of the lockdown, right? So anyway, Miss Morgan argues the police should approach these protests in the same way that officers would consider a park full of sunbathing friends. You can see there are people in small groups in parks. It's very difficult to argue they are not all in the park for the same purpose. So if we are talking about stopping a protest, there has to be a fair and just application of the law to these people as well as those in the park. If not, she warns closing down Black Lives Matter protests on coronavirus grounds could be seen as unfair and disproportionate use of regulations. Right? So reading on, it says, so where does that leave the police? Chief constables today talked about the public duty to facilitate demonstrations, all right, and that they only turn to force, such as bringing in riot police, if they believe they're going to have to quell trouble. And if you saw the one at Parliament Square, all right, basically you had police, you had a chopper in the sky. You had armed police. I believe you had armed police there. You had it. It was filled to the brim with bobbies. All right, but police, and they were there outnumbering the protesters. Okay, and now that the clip I see of today of the rioters beating up the police officers, getting into fisticuffs with them, is definitely gonna have to. They're gonna have to raise the bar in dealing with it, or at least they're justified to apply a certain amount of force the next go around. Okay, and remember these protests are ongoing throughout the course of the week, so let's see what they bring. Okay, Metropolitan Police Commissioner Dame Cressida Dick told the London Assembly on Wednesday that her officers faced a difficult situation last Saturday when 3,000 people demonstrated in London over Mr. Floyd's death. Okay? If you put yourself in the shoes of a public order commander dealing with a protest which has come almost from nowhere, which has no organizer, nobody will engage with you, then you have to make your judgments at the time, she said. So that goes either way, either or. You come down with a hammer or you be a bit more lenient. She added that officers decided that had they tried to enforce a mass dispersal, we would probably have ended up with very serious disorder. She and the other members of the National Police Chiefs Council have instead issued a very strong and unusual statement in the hope of calming tensions. They said they are appalled by Mr. Floyd's death in Minnesota, and no people want to make their voices heard. The right to lawful protest is a key part of any democracy, which the UK police uphold and facilitate. The statement added. It pointed out the gatherings of more than 6 people outdoors still restricted. We ask that people continue to work with officers at this challenging time. Right? So that's what they're saying. That's what they are saying. Okay. Basically, you can see that that's level 1, basically, phase 1. And these are the things that's happening. So, so, I mean, you already know what it is. Amos 5, where this is basically segueing, what do we do when we go on the highways and byways? We gather together as a camp, an encampment, and there's multiple brothers in the camp. So now we have to, form in line accordingly. But then on top of that as well, the other thing that we have to do now is that our form of protest can be dispersed, all right, according to the law. And that's the main thing. That don't forget that the testimony of Yahushua is the spirit of prophecy, all right. And the Lord said in Isaiah 55:11 that His word would not go out void. So these are these words that will not go out void, all right. And this is why it's of great importance that you get the word while you can. So this is Amos 5:18. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. It's lucky. I'm reading the wrong scripture. This is Amos 8:11. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord power, that I will send a famine in the land. All right, not a famine of bread, even though that is coming as well. All right, you have a famine of bread that's coming. And I was, doing my grocery shopping the other day. Well, literally yesterday, I see some jakes come in, and it's kind of bewildered me, man. They had like a stack of like 11 ready bread each, man. And I don't know what they bought that for, but they bought 11 each, man. And they're walking out the store. So you still have people actually panic buying to this day right now, all right? And that's something they ain't telling you, all right? But I digress, because it says not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but with hearing of the words of the Lord. The words of the Lord are going to be precious. And that's why you got to get them while the getting's good, all right? So with that, I pray you're edified. Shalom.